Hello and welcome back to episode 13 of the Green Line Gazette podcast. Today we're breaking down Luke Murray's 2025 transfer class. I apologize for the long hiatus. I just finished finals. Junior year, all done. Super hyped about that, rolling into summer. No better way to kick off summer on the last official day of school than to talk about what Luke Murray's going to be bringing to campus this fall. I mean, it is quite exciting. A lot has happened since I've last talked about BC basketball. We now have 11 incoming transfers. I think the last time I spoke on this, we might have had it might have just been the walk-ons and Jack Bailey. So I think we might have had nobody. So it's been a while. Completely new coaching and staff all throughout. 11 new players. Remember, Apple Podcast, Spotify Podcast, Substack, and YouTube. Give us a listen. Follow us on Instagram at the Green Line Gazette. Very happy to welcome you guys back to another episode. I gotta say I do prefer this over studying in Bapst all day and all night. But I mean, no better way to start it off than one of the players that I think I'm most excited to have on this team, and that would be Brandon Benjamin. So 6'7" wing from Fairfield. So local school, like we said. I'm going to keep reiterating this all throughout the podcast. Luke Murray said in his presser that we covered in episode 5, he is going to look locally and he's going to look internationally. You will definitely see that throughout this list of transfers that we're about to run through. So not obviously originally from New Jersey, but played at Fairfield, which is the local aspect there. He was a true freshman last year, second team all MAAC, unanimous all rookie team. This guy averaged 14.2 points a game, 10.6 rebounds, 1.6 blocks, and he averaged around 4.2 offensive rebounds. I mean, for a guy with 3 years of eligibility left, this is absolutely insane. This was a highly touted recruit. Luke Murray and BC were able to, I guess, pitch him the right way, sell him the right way, because obviously we grabbed him. But I could not be more excited about this guy. With 3 years of eligibility, he's already playing like top talent. I mean, averaging a double-double, all unanimous all rookie team, second team all MAC. I'm not sure how he wasn't first team all MAC, to be quite honest. But this guy's an elite defender. I mean, 6'7", super lanky, all over the court, covers so much ground. But I mean, the most important thing about Brandon Benjamin is that it shows that Luke Murray and Boston College, we have the resources to beat out other programs. This guy was incredibly, touted. Everybody wanted him. Obviously, UConn, I think that's kind of where Murray, I would assume, forged this original connection with Benjamin was when he was at UConn. But, I mean, this shows that, maybe BC basketball is going to be taken a little more serious in the Northeast, and I think we really should be, to be honest. And I think this is the first step towards that. And I think this is going to ring true for a lot of players that I'm going to go through in this transfer class, that it kind of shows that we're working our way back to top dog. I mean, obviously a long way to go from the dominance UConn has put on the court these past couple of, since the turn of the century, to be quite honest. But we're starting in the right direction. Couldn't be more happy about that. So Brandon Benjamin, again, 14.2 points a game as a true freshman. You can't find many guys in the country who are doing this as true freshmen. To have them for 3 extra years is going to be absolutely insane. Moving on, Zach Smerekakar. I horribly mispronounced that. I apologize. Not a transfer, but a high school 2026 grad from Slovakia. This guy's a wing kind of guard type of player. He's only 19 years old. He's 6'7", 195. He currently plays for KK Kraka. Probably mispronounced that as well, in the Slovenian First League and ABA League. So professional experience in Euro leagues. I feel like that always is just the absolute recipe for success. I mean, you look at Luka, Giannis, Jokic. I mean, all the great guys in the NBA right now that are international players started in these Euro leagues and made their way over to the U.S. So right now he's averaging 9.6 points per game. His splits are 44%, 26, and 80 from the field. So to be doing that as a 19-year-old in one of the top Euro leagues, and then to get Luke Murray to have him come to Boston College is, I mean, that's very good. And this is important because Illinois, of course, Illinois and their international, especially their Eastern European international players that I think their entire roster is made of them. They were really going after this guy too. And the fact that we were able to grab him, again, just like the Brandon Benjamin stuff, it shows you that people are, especially players are taking Boston College more seriously in the college basketball scene, which is, I don't think that's a form of respect we have had here in quite some time. Definitely not during the Earl Grant era. So it's been probably before COVID, even before then. So again, huge grab here on Zach. This I think this past summer, in the FIBA U19 World Cup, he averaged 16.7 points a game, 5.7 rebounds, and 3.7 assists. He helped Slovenia. He helped them finish third in the World Cup, which is quite the achievement. Even bigger achievement from this tournament, besides the incredible stat line that he posted, he was one of 5 members named to the all-tournament team. To give you an idea of who the other guys that were making up this all-tournament team, you have the likely number 1 pick in the NBA draft this year, soon to be Washington Wizard AJ DeBansa, who went to BYU. You have Mikal Brown, Honest Steinbach, Christian Anderson, and then Zach himself. So he seems to be top world talent, top global international talent, which is absolutely insane. It was said that Murray was able to connect with him originally at UConn. Again, this is why I was so high on Murray when we got him. These connections and the respect he already has from being a part of the UConn Husky program with Hurley that's been as successful and as reputable as it has been, like I said, since the turn of the century. It's going to come with those bonuses that you drag to BC, and this relationship that already existed was definitely one of them. He's been described as a big perimeter player, great natural basketball IQ, which I think maybe BC kind of lacked this year, to be quite honest. Great passing ability. He can initiate offense and, play like a true point guard, but this guy's 6'7", so he can really be a Swiss Army knife all over the court, which I think is what BC lacked. I think we were a little too one-dimensional, two-dimensional this past season, and it really, you're not keeping up with the current curve of what college basketball is. So having a guy like Zach that can, be tall, be shooting, be facilitating the ball is great. Great on-ball screener. I'm sure Luke Murray's offense, we'll see how that ends up. Great decision maker. He's a little skinny, but again, this guy's only 19. You can fill him out pretty well. Not super quick, but this guy's kind of like a true slasher that can also really shoot the 3 ball. Again, only 19 years old. I think he's going to develop really well under Luke Murray, to be quite honest. And I think we're going to have an absolute beast on our hands. And then there you go, right? The first 2 guys that we just introduced, Benjamin with 3 years of eligibility, and Zach is going to have 4, right? We're setting BC basketball up for a very promising future. We're not only going for these one and done transfer portal guys who kind of have, that one grad year, whatever left. So to have these guys playing together at least for 3 more years, hopefully, is, it's awesome. Moving on, probably one of the biggest grabs, this made a lot of waves, kind of really nationally, to be honest, was Money Williams, the Montana transfer from the Big Sky. This guy is a 4-star and the number 99th ranked transfer in the nation. So we have a top 100 recruit, highest rated transfer ever to come to BC since 24/7 started tracking that. And I believe 2014, 2015. So, a pretty big sample size, to be quite honest, and to have a top 100 recruit again. Luke Murray showing that, he's here to play. This is the renaissance of Boston College basketball. That's what this is. And it's, again, we haven't seen these guys on the court, but he's holding up his end of the bargain right now. And my goodness, it looks quite promising. I cannot lie. So of course, first team all Big Sky at Montana. This guy's a true volume scorer, 20.4 points per game on about 50% from the field. Can also distribute the ball, 4.7 assists per game, shooting around 35 from behind the arc. However, he's got 1 year eligibility left, so this is going to kind of be his one and done big bang year. But I mean, I know I was just preaching about these guys with more eligibility, but I, it's hard to be upset about a top 100 transfer who's averaging 20 plus a game. I mean, just to run you through some of the games he had this past year, he dropped 40 on Northern Colorado, 32 on Portland State, 35 on Idaho, 30 on North Dakota, 31 on Cal Poly, and 30 on UNLV. So this guy's a true score first point guard, standing at 6'4", probably the best scoring talent BC's had in a very long time. I really, that's kind of who maybe I thought Donald Hand would, shift out to be this year. Of course, that didn't happen, for better or for worse, but hopefully Money Williams can really step into this role for us as a true scorer. We kind of need the guy on the court. We need like someone to be able to take control, especially in late game situations, because I mean, again, totally different team, but as you know, past 2 years, right? BC crumbled in the latter quarters and in clutch time, and boy, it was painful to watch. So if we can have a guy like Money Williams who can be the man on the court, I think, especially with Murray's new offense, I think we're going to be, directly on the path to the ACC tournament. Obviously, we don't want to be missing that for the third year straight. I don't think we will. Knock on wood. In other news, right, the field for the NCAA tournament was just expanded to 76. What that really means, to be honest, is just more spots for Power 5 schools who perhaps are a little iffy. Everybody thinks it's going to be for, more Cinderella schools, but the committee's driven by TV revenue. This is a conversation for another day, but I think that opens the door to a lot of teams like Boston College to sneak in. We can talk about expectations for Luke Murray. I think we might need to pump the brakes a little, right? It is his first season with an entirely brand new and raw roster in this unprecedented age of college basketball. So we'll see. I'm very optimistic, I will say, but I'm not, I'm not ACC champions or bust type of expectations. I think we should give them a little time, but with the expanded fields, I think we have a really good shot at making March Madness, and I think it should be no possible way we miss the ACC tournament for the third straight year. Again, knock on wood. But I think a guy like Money Williams is, I think he's kind of one of those pieces that BC was missing. They were missing that true volume score, and we'll see. But I mean, I think the stat line really speaks for itself. Again, 20.4 points per game. This guy's going to be, just an absolute freak to watch. Moving on, Ernest Shelton, another local guy from Merrimack, played 2 seasons at a Division II college called Gannon, originally from Philadelphia. This guy's 6'5", a guard. He was an all-MACC player, another all-MACC honor player, kind of funny. 15.9 points per game. Led Merrimack basically single-handedly to the MAAC regular season title. They didn't get it done, unfortunately, with Joe Gallo, who was, a BC hopeful hire early on in the process. So congrats to Merrimack, but looks like we did grab Shelton. He hit 99 threes this year. To put that into perspective, Boston College's leader was Fred Payne with 67. So again, we're just bringing in, I feel like, scoring talent that we really haven't seen in the past couple of years. It feels like we've been starved from proper basketball. And I think Luke Murray's bringing that back. I really do. This guy hit 9 for 12 from 3 against BU. Couldn't happen to a better team, to be quite honest. He dropped 23 on Auburn when they were ranked 20th in November, arguably way more impressive. This guy can compete against top Power 5 talent, right? People were clamoring for Auburn to get in on the bubble in March Madness this year. So he dropped 23 on him, during the big, swing of the season. It's not like it's super early or whatever. So I think he should flourish. I think Joe Gallo's offense, I no secret, I wasn't a fan of it. I didn't really want him to come to Boston College. I think it held back a lot of his players like Shelton. So the fact that Shelton basically was dropping 16 points a game on insane efficiency from 3-point land with a horrible offensive coach, I think you pair him with Murray, Money Williams, Brandon Benjamin, Zach, it's going to be quite the sight to see in Conti form. So, I mean, again, time will tell. Moving on, another local guy, JB Frankel, 6'3" guard from Brewster Academy, which I believe is up in New Hampshire, originally from New York. He played 84 games for Northeastern, right? So, again, Murray, look locally, just grabbed him. Not the most impressive stat line, about 5 points per game on 37% from the field, 35 from three, 81 from the line, about 19 minutes a game. I see him as a good depth guy, just to give some people rest as it stands right now. Obviously, who knows what Luke Murray can turn and his coaching staff can turn this guy into. But, I mean, as it stands, not much to say about Frankel. Excited to have him. Hopefully he can find some real playing time here in the system, which if you've watched UConn basketball, they do rotate players quite often. So I wouldn't be too shocked if you do see, a more of a depth guy like Frankel getting real minutes. And I think he can pull through, already shooting 35 from three. I'm sure that's only going to go up. So not much to say there. Similar to our next guy, or not really, but Jacob Furphy, the UConn freshman guard and Australian native that Murray brought with him. Barely played this year, averaged 0.4 points a game. This guy's a former 4-star and top 100 recruit, 6'6", kind of a wing guard. He really thrives in offenses like Murray, where, you can shoot from deep to open it up, high level passer, really dangerous on the pick and roll. This is actually my favorite part about him. He's got to be respected at 6'6". People respect him in the paint and on the arcer and in the mid-range, right? So nobody can hedge a lot and cheat with his man. So he has this gravity of respect that really draws defenders in the two-man game, and I think that's a super underrated aspect of his game. Again, didn't really play too much as a true freshman. I mean, UConn just went to the national championship. It's going to be hard to find minutes within that UConn roster. So I don't think we should be freaking out looking at the box score, panicking. Again, former 4-star, top 100. I think he's going to see a real role on this team. I'm sure that's what Luke Murray's been telling him. And I think he's just absolutely going to explode. He played for the Australian national team at the FIBA Asia Cup last summer, and he averaged basically 17 points, 4 boards, and 2 assists, shooting 46 from behind the line. So exactly what I just said. I think if you give this guy court time, which we definitely will be doing, he is going to produce. He's going to fit perfectly with Murray. He already has a great relationship with the coach anyway. So I am pumped about this pickup. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right? I'm sure Murray was involved in recruiting him as he was focused a lot on the international scale. So, super, super high upside. I think he's a perfect fit here. The volume scorer, like he can be, like we saw in the FIBA World Cup, shooting from the outside. I don't think we had to spend too much NIL to get him, to be honest. I don't think he was making all that much. And I mean, I don't think he was being offered all that much due to the fact that he didn't really play, but because Murray obviously saw him every day, I think it was an easy pickup for him. I think he knows exactly what he's doing. And I think you got to trust Murray here on Furphy. And I think Furphy's going to just develop into an absolute monster. Again, 3 more years of eligibility, just like a lot of the guys on this list. We're building for a future. I got to say, this gets me really excited, right? Not a lot of one and done stuff, which is good. So we can really build this core. It's going to be fun to watch. All right. Armoni Ziegler, Ball State guard, 6'4", 1 year eligibility left. He's a rising senior. Before Ball State, he played 2 seasons at St. Peter's. He averaged 12.5 points a game, 5 boards, 3 assists, 2-way guard, super high volume shooter at St. Peter's. He led the team with field goals made with 114 his sophomore year. So again, adding another guy who can just score the basketball, but who can also swing the rock is something that I think was greatly missed. As vanilla and plain as that sounds, I know it's shocking that, it sounds almost dumb to say that why did Earl Grant not have guys who could shoot the ball? But he really didn't, to be quite honest. And if you watch the games, you would know that. So another wave of relief as Ziegler comes in here. Defensive spark plug, absolute like hound dog on defense, rounds out our roster really, really well. He formed a relationship with Luke Murray, as I think UConn already wanted him before Murray had left. So sounds like he was in talks with Murray. And, I'm sure when Murray went to BC, he said you can really expect a bigger role than you would at UConn. And I think that's a big draw of having a blank canvas of a roster here at a Power 5 school, is that you can promise these guys more major roles and than they would, get at schools like UConn, who have a really established rotation that probably won't change too much. So again, Armoni Ziegler, really excited to have this guy. Should be great. Moving on, Luke Hunger. So another local guy, originally at Northwestern, then to George Washington. Now here, obviously, went to Northfield Mount Herman in Northfield, Mass, way out, Western Mass. In the hills, this guy's a true big man, 6'10", 250. At Northwestern was all right, 62 games with 10 starts, kind of averaged three points a game, 2 boards, and about an assist, shooting 40% from the field, about 67% from the line on 12 minutes a game. So those first 2 seasons, obviously he was just a younger guy, I think definitely developing. I don't think it's horrible production for a big man who was only getting 12 minutes a game, and I'm sure a lot of those minutes were garbage time, to be quite honest. But I mean, he comes to George Washington last year and just absolutely explodes. 33 games, starting 13, jumps to about 19 to 20 minutes a game, immediately goes to 8.5 points a game, 5 boards and an assist. 50% from the field, about 31 from 3-point land, 82 from the line. All upticks, significant upticks, I might add, from his time at Northwestern. So, like I said, he was developing. I think he's only getting better, which is great. This guy had 11 double-digit point games last season, or I guess this season technically at GW. Most impressively, he had a 4-game stretch where he scored 20-plus points in every game. I believe that was around like mid-February. So, really when it matters, to be honest, and that's what big guys need to do. They need to show up when it matters, especially as it gets closer to March. So I think BC here has found a legit big man, an experienced big man. He's an okay rim protector from what I've watched. Good, not great, to be honest. I think we'll get to that later with some of our other rim protectors that we have recently brought in. But I mean, on the offensive side, and then, like I said, good, not great, but definitely serviceable. I don't think he's going to be a liability by any means on the defensive end. Really excited for Hunger. Again, good for Murray for going for the local guys over at NMH, right? NMH has a crazy high school program. I'm not sure why BC wasn't more tapped into that, to be quite honest. But yeah, Luke Hunger, good big man. Again, 6'10", should pair well with Tuankara when we get to him. All right. I'm going to absolutely butcher this name. We have Martin Andra Bukumirovic. I probably said that pretty well, to be quite honest. UT Martin, 21 years old, 6'7", 200-pound forward from Serbia. Excuse me. 11 points a game on about 8 rebounds. This guy was first team all OVC. He was top 15 in the OVC in double doubles with 7. Second in the OVC in field goal percentage at 51.5. Led his team, UT Martin, in field goals made with 153, and he was 35% from 3. Again, I'm excited to see how Martin here really plays out. He's played ACC talent, right? He dropped 22 against Florida State So he's proved that he can do it against not just, kind of OVC fodder, I guess, for lack of a better word. I think he's ready for the big stage. Um, Again, Murray going international. I think he gets this global recruitment ploy from Hurley. I think UConn has excelled with that. I like that he's a little older at 21. I think that's, it's good to have a vet kind of like Martin Andre here who will provide experience to a lot of the younger guys like we've talked about who have, a lot more eligibility like Furphy or Zach and Brandon Benjamin and whatnot. So really excited to have him. Again, kind of seems like a guy who can do it all. Top 15 OVC double doubles, efficient shooter from the floor. Not much more you can ask, to be honest, out of a mid-sized forward. Next, and hey, we called this, me and Jonah Renz, episode 7 when we talked about Luke Murray's renaissance. We said, hey, we're going local. What does Luke Murray do? The guy we were talking about, Colby Duggan, the 6'7" forward from Munson, Massachusetts, was at the University of Charleston, is now coming to Boston College, just like we predicted, right? He was one of our 6 guys we said to keep an eye on that we would want here at BC. And, it looks like me, Jonah, and Luke Murray kind of maybe share some brain cells or something because I think this is a great pickup. This year, right, he only played 19 games. He had some injury problems. It is what it is. Again, with those injuries, though, 9.3 points a game, 2.4 boards, 2.3 assists on 40% from the field. So with all that's given there, I think that is quite impressive to be as banged up as he was. And then, I mean, you look at him when he was healthy, you look at his sophomore year on 32 games at Charleston, averaging almost 16 points a game as a forward, right? And they played top talent in North Carolina. They had games against UNC where he did very well. He dropped 22 against Hampton this year. So huge pickup for Murray. Great to see that BC's really honing in on the Mass New England pipeline. I think we really need to reclaim that, to be quite honest. I mean, right after UConn, I think it should be us. We should be second top dog. And, right one day, hopefully we're surpassing UConn. I think we have a long way to go. That's no secret. But for now, I think it's more than reasonable to be number 2 in New England. And I think we're doing a really good job of that with Colby Duggan. Again, super excited for this guy, 6'7" forward, super versatile, kind of a two-way player, can shoot the 3 ball, but can also lock it down against some bigger guys, especially if they, you run into teams who run a lot of mismatch, pick and roll, 2-man game stuff. Duggan doesn't really struggle with guarding all positions on the court. So very good. Finally, just recently, Luke Murray has got a 7-footer. It feels like every college basketball team that wins Natty or does well or wins their conference tournament has a massive 7-foot center or taller that just stands in the post. Maybe not the most NBA ready archetype, whatever. We can talk about that later. But Ali Tunkara from Guinea, 7-footer from Arkansas State, 215 pounds. This is Murray's 4th international player bringing in. Tunkara here, 4 points a game, 5.5 boards, and about 0.5 assists on 63% from the field. This guy's, when he gets minutes, which I think he definitely will just due to his massive size, he's incredibly efficient scoring in the paint. I think having a big guy like this, you pair him with Luke Hunger. I mean, you put them both on the floor at the same time on the low blocks or some sort of rotation cycle on the line or whatever it may be for Luke Murray. I think this isn't really a 1-2 punch we've had in quite some time. So very excited for Tunkara here. Hats off to Luke Murray. It was a little worrying. We kind of didn't have anybody coming out of the portal in the first days, but I guess looking back on that, right, should be expected. He's a new coach at a struggling program. There's not the number 1 player in the portal class, definitely isn't jumping here, but I am very satisfied with what we've been able to do with these 11 transfers, especially given the short time window that Murray has had. Again, Brandon Benjamin, Andra Buku Miorovic, my goodness, sorry, Colby Duggan, JB Frankel, Jacob Furphy, Luke Hunger, Ernest Shelton, Money Williams, Zach Shmerkar, Ali Tunkara, and Armani Ziegler are our 11 guys that are going to be joining. I believe it's just Jack Bailey, the walk-on left. And then, hey, before we go to, it's worth giving a shout out to the new incoming coaching staff, right? Obviously, Luke Murray coming from UConn, right? Hurley's right-hand man. He's also bringing with him for his chief of staff, Tim O'Toole, who just came from Pitt. We're bringing Kyle Griffin as an assistant coach from Florida Gulf Coast. We're bringing Matthew Johnson as an assistant coach from Princeton, who he was there for that Princeton March Madness run a couple of years ago, which is, promising. We're bringing Brennan Strawn as an assistant coach, and then as our director, of basketball ops, we have Eric Junkowski. So it looks like Murray's really, settling into his own shoes here. I'm very excited for what has to come. As for, what we can expect this season, I think the expectations are high. I think we might need to pump the brakes a little. We were talking about this earlier. We don't have to win the ACC championship in Murray's first year, right? If we don't do that, it's not going to be a failure. I think a realistic bar, obviously the lowest bar should be, one, it should be a winning record. Two, it should be not missing the ACC tournament for the third year in a row. And I really think it should be achievable to make the 76 field March Madness this year. I think that's something we really could strive for. I mean, maybe I'm being a little selfish here in my, going into my now senior year. I guess I would love to see a BC sport do well. That's, not really hockey, right? So we'll see where Luke Murray takes us. Again, very impressed with what he's been able to throw together in the short amount of time. You got to remember the portal opened up the day after he lost in the national championship. So very quick turnaround time. I'm sure he was balancing recruitment while also, coaching his guys right at UConn for that natty against Michigan. But only time will tell. We will see. That is all for now. Thank you for listening to episode 13 of the Green Line Gazette podcast. Again, we're on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and Substack. Give us a follow on the Green Line Gazette on Instagram. We're doing a little bit of new ESPN graphic style content there to bring some new interactions. But I appreciate you guys listening. Sorry about the long hiatus. We'll be back with some World Cup stuff, most definitely, probably some Sox stuff. Villa, we will be talking about Villa and their European conquest very, very soon. But all for now, thank you again and have a good night.